put through this request to Megan kind of late in the afternoon yesterday saying, hey, if you still want to speak to Bennington Rotary Club about the Good News Garage, we have a spot open for you. And she and Thomas replied right away and had a presentation ready to go. So I'm so excited that you're here and able to join us via Zoom. That's the beauty of the virtual world these days, right? I have no idea where you're tuning in from, but welcome and thank you for being with us.
Yeah, thanks, Beth. We're glad that we could take you up on your offer for this spot at the last second. And Megan's been helping us reach out to a bunch of Rotary clubs around the state of Vermont. So actually, yesterday morning, we just spoke to the Rotary Club from, where was it? Cambridge, Vermont, closer up here to Burlington. Yeah, that one was at 7 a.m. I'm not sure if seems like some of them meet very early and others meet midday like yourselves. I much prefer this meeting time. so happy to be here. Just a quick show of hands. We have a presentation to share with you about all the details of Good News Garage. But because here in Vermont, we like to kind of think of it as sort of a household name like Ben and Jerry's. Maybe not quite as much as Ben and Jerry's, but we have pretty good name recognition. So just quick show of hands, who has heard of Good News Garage before? Okay, so maybe almost half of you. And has anyone ever donated a car to Good News Garage? Okay, all right, great. Well, there's always time to change that. We have a lot of donors from all over the state, and often run into people that have donated multiple times. Actually, a lot of our donors that donate, they come back time and time again. So there's people that have donated 5, 6, 7 cars that are fortunate enough to be able to do that. It's an awesome thing to be able to do. So yeah, my name is Tom Kupfer. I'm the marketing specialist for Good News Garage. I've been with Good News Garage for a little over 3 years. Currently, I'm sitting in my house in Burlington, Vermont. And Good News Garage's office in Burlington is just a few blocks away from where I'm sitting here. But because of the pandemic, I've been working from home since last March. But the office is open, and it's open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5. And people can stop on by anytime and drop off a car or just come in to say hi or ask questions. So we like to keep an open door for the community as much as possible. And I'm going to let Megan introduce herself really quickly. She's interning with us and has been helping out with outreach.
Yeah, hi everyone. As Tom said, I've been interning with Good News Garage since March, so it's been a fun time, and I'm also going into my senior year at UVM.
Yeah, so Megan, she's in Massachusetts right now, I believe, but at home for between semesters. But she's usually up here in Burlington as well when she's in school, so she's familiar with the area and with Good News Garage, and we're lucky to have her helping us out with some community outreach. It's been a long time because of COVID since we've really kind of come out of our bubble, I think, and so we're still doing most of these virtually, but it's been great to kind of get out there a little bit more and interact with the community again. And hopefully later, this summer we'll start having more in-person events. We like to go to local concerts and fairs and festivals and things like that are happening around the state. We've got a cool antique 1965 Chevy panel van. It's actually an old ambulance that we've kind of rebranded with Good News Garage on the side, and we'll take that to events, and it's fun. People can jump in it and check it out and stuff, and draws a lot of attention. So I'll pull up our presentation here, just from the 40,000 foot view of Good News Garage in a nutshell. We're a car donation program, if you don't already know that. And our mission is to create economic opportunity by providing affordable and reliable transportation options to low-income individuals and families. So affordable and reliable are really two key words there. Affordable certainly is important, and then reliable because often low-income individuals, reliability is something they really struggle with, even if it might be somewhat affordable, like public transportation, if it's even available where the person lives. It's not always reliable. They can't always depend on it to go wherever they need to go. Sometimes they might work a second or third shift job when public transportation isn't available. So having your own car that's reliable really allows you to just do what you need to do whenever you need to do it. And that's our goal, is to empower people to go to the places they need to go when they need to get there. And so, what we like to think of ourselves is like the connector between the person who donates the car and the family or individual in the community that receives the car. So we like to think of ourselves as sort of like just the facilitator of that process. So you have an old or unused car that you want to donate or get rid of, and we can help you, find a well-qualified person that's in need of that vehicle and kind of match your car up with that family. So since we started in 1996, we've placed over 5,000 cars with individuals and families around New England. We had a nice little celebration to mark that milestone about 2 years ago. So we're probably closer to around 5,500 cars now, but we'll probably just keep the clock ticking until we get to like 10,000, and then maybe we'll have another big event. So a brief little history. We were founded in 1996 by a gentleman named Hal Colston. That's Hal up there in the top left, and in the middle, he's posing with Oprah Winfrey. We're located on Winooski Avenue in Burlington's Old North End, which is a great spot. It's sort of in the heart of where there's a lot of other social and human services organizations like Vermont Legal Aid, Good News Garage, which is a local bike shop, which does similar thing for bicycles as we do for cars, and some other great human services. So it's very accessible to the community and many of the people we serve. When Hal came up with this idea for Good News Garage, he was kind of inspired by a local woman that he met who had just kind of gotten swindled by a used car dealership that sold her a lemon, and she spent all her money on it, and then the thing broke down and she got taken advantage of, and he really felt bad for her, and he wanted to come up with a solution for people like her in her circumstance so that they could get into a safe and reliable car and not have to sacrifice, months of rent or food on the table and other things just to make that happen, and also trust that that car is actually going to be reliable and help them kind of bridge the gap in their life to where they want to go. So he came up with this kind of innovative model at the time, and it was really one of the first, or the first in the entire country. And so that gained a lot of national recognition. So he was on the Oprah Winfrey Show and the Today Show, and inspired a lot of other car donation programs that we see today all over the country that basically run on an identical model to us or very similar. So when he was starting this up, Hal was very active in his local Lutheran church, and the church helped him kind of get the program off the ground with funding and office space and volunteers. And so that kind of formed a relationship with our parent organization, which is now called Essentia Care Alliance. They used to be called Lutheran Social Services of New England. And Essentia is based in Massachusetts, but they operate a whole slew of human service programs, including like refugee services, legal services, interpretation and language services, adoption, childcare, teen parenting programs, all kinds of great stuff all over New England, and mostly in Massachusetts and New Hampshire and Maine. Actually, Good News Garage is the only Essentia program here in Burlington. Someday that may change, but for now we're their Vermont kind of connection. And in 2002, as the program grew, we added an office in Manchester, New Hampshire, and that office is still there today, serving individuals in southern New England. So we have two main programs that we operate currently. There's Wheels to Work, which is the one that we're really most known for. That's, where we take the donated cars, we repair a certain amount of them that are roadworthy, and then we place them with individuals in need. That's kind of the bread and butter program here. But we also have a bit of a lesser known program that serves people all over Vermont called Ready to Go. And this program is a van shuttle service that uses donated vans, mostly donated vans, minivans in particular. And we have drivers based all around the state of Vermont that have these vans at their house, and they'll go out and pick people up and take them to work, childcare, doctor's appointments, school, both families, adults, and children, take them to kind of critical life activities, and keep them moving forward in their lives. So it's a really great program that we're not as well known for, but it's a really good community service that we provide. So the GNG Difference, you may have noticed that there are more and more of these car donation type programs popping up all over the place. If you do a Google search, you'll get a huge list of car donation programs that come up. It's something that's becoming increasingly popular. And like I said, we are one of the first. And so we need to continue to kind of differentiate ourselves. So there are more competitors out there, but we remain one of the only car donation programs that has this goal of kind of refurbishing and providing as many donated cars as possible back into the community. So there's a lot of other car donation programs that are run by a middleman. Generally, you have like a middleman that will reach out to a church or a nonprofit or even for-profit organization and say, hey, we can facilitate a car donation program for you. All you need to do is put this link on your website and people will click it, fill out a form. We will handle all the back end stuff. And then they will sell every car that's donated for profit, and the middleman will take a cut of the sale and then pass through the rest of the profits to the organization that they're working with. So without naming any names, there's quite a few of these, even here in Vermont, and even more when you get down into southern New England and other places where we work. But we remain one of the only locally that actually puts those cars back out on the road. So if we get a good car that has a lot of life in it, we don't want to just sell it and then it ends up going to a used car dealership or something. Our goal is really to put that back in the family's hands who can use it. So if you're a donor and you want to donate your car, I think that, we can really help you make the biggest impacts by passing that car on to someone to use it. You might even see it driving around your neighborhood and, see a family doing errands in it and stuff, which is pretty cool. Really good feeling to kind of see that instantaneous impact that you've made. So we like to think of ourselves as kind of a win-win-win as well. In the car, if you donate a car, it goes to local families to help them move forward in their lives. We use local automotive garages to do all of the work on the cars. We have a partnership with local garages all over the state of Vermont, so that when a car is donated and then we award it to an individual, maybe they're all the way down in Bennington, we have a garage in the Bennington area, so that person that receives the car can go there and have work done on it. All of the cars, when we award them to Vermonters, they come with a 2-year warranty that covers most issues with the car that might pop up. So, things will happen, especially with some of these older, higher mileage cars that we try our best to fix up and give to people. But when something comes up, the client doesn't have to worry about it for those first 2 years, and they can take it to a local garage and have all the work done at no cost to them. And lastly, the vehicle donor, in addition to just the feel-good part of donating your car to someone, they will receive free towing, which is helpful if the car is not currently running and they have dead battery or flat tires. We'll pick it up for free, no cost to you, and you will qualify for a pretty generous tax deduction if you itemize your taxes, like if you make a lot of charitable contributions. This will go into part of that, and you qualify for at least $500, even if the car is not even worth $500. Just by donating a car, you'll qualify for a $500 deduction. And if your car becomes a program car, as we call it, it's awarded to a family, then you can deduct the fair market value of that car. So it could be $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 that you can then deduct from your taxes. So for people that are itemizing their taxes in that space, it can be a really good way to receive extra tax breaks. Next slide here, we talk about our community impact, and we send out a survey to our clients in different intervals after they receive a car from us to kind of measure the impact that car is making in their lives. So these are just a couple of the stats that we measure. 93% of clients report that the cars improve the well-being of their families. Over half of people have said that the cars allowed them to go back to school or continue their education that they otherwise wouldn't have been able to do. 70% report improved upward mobility and increased household income. So these are kind of high level, some of the things that the cars help people achieve. But, generally when we, surprisingly, I guess we should say, when we award a car to someone, sometimes we say, what's the first thing that you're going to do in this car? And, you would expect them to say like, oh, I'm going to go to Disney World, or, I'm going to go to the beach, something really exciting. But oftentimes, it's just something basic that we may take for granted, like going to visit grandma and grandpa with the kids, or, going to the state park or something like that, or even just going to get groceries and do laundry, things that otherwise were kind of dreadful or impossible. And now they can do it like most of us have the convenience of doing. And that's just, they look forward so much to just being enabled to do those everyday things that most of us take for granted. High level, as far as our community impact, if you like the numbers, we've awarded 156 vehicles between Massachusetts and Vermont in the last fiscal year, just to give you an idea of how many vehicles we place. That's currently where we're placing vehicles is Vermont and Massachusetts through respective state partnerships. And our ready to go van shuttle service, I've mentioned, provided over 25,000 rides in that last fiscal year, serving over 500 people just here in Vermont. So in Vermont, we partner with the Economic Services Division of the Department of Children and Families. They have a program called Reach Up. That's a social program that mostly serves single parent families. So the majority of our clients are mothers that are in sole custody of their children. Like you can see Monica here on the right. Usually they have young kids and they're kind of managing the whole family, trying to make ends meet. And that's generally who gets the cars in Vermont. Sometimes there are men, and sometimes they may have a spouse as well, but generally it's single moms. In Massachusetts, most of the cars, we work through a program called Mass Rehab that serves individuals in recovery with overcoming substance abuse and disabilities that are trying to re-enter the workforce. So they have to kind of show a plan for employment. And so they're on a very clear track to either going to school or doing job training that allows them to get a steady job and kind of re-enter the workforce. And the car is really critical for that. So the basic view of how it works, if you're a car donor, step one, donate your car. We have a great website, which you can do that right on the homepage. Just fill out some basic information about your car and where it is. And we receive that, we evaluate it within 2 to 3 days. So we get back to you and we set up a time to come pick it up. And after we receive it, we'll inspect it. We do kind of a cursory inspection first, just to check it out. If it looks like it has potential to be awarded to a family, then we'll bring it to a garage who does a more thorough inspection, and then they'll make any necessary repairs to the vehicle. We generally spend, almost around $2,000 on the cars that we do award to families, putting things on them like new tires, changing all the fluids, wiper blades, all of that stuff, just to make sure that car's in really the best shape it can be before we award it to the family. And then as the last step, your family's finally placed with someone and the donor receives a tax deduction. Nice little touch. If you do donate and your car goes to someone, we have the donor write a thank you card. And so you actually receive a handwritten card from the recipient of your car in the mail, which is a kind of nice way to kind of come full circle and close the process out. And you know exactly who received your car and what they're going to do with it and all of that. So it's really nice to have that kind of a tangible impact. And just to be clear, we accept all types of vehicles. We usually just say cars, but we accept trucks, vans, boats, campers, motorcycles, snowmobiles, even tractors and riding mowers. Basically, we're not going to award any of that stuff to people, but we'll sell it at auction. So if you have something like that laying around in your garage and you want to get rid of it or donate it, that money will be reinvested into our program, and it might go towards repairing a vehicle that does go to somebody. And we will award, small trucks like little SUVs, like Honda CRVs, are great for clients. And the vans are good for people with big families, and they're also used for our Ready to Go program. So there's just a screenshot of our homepage there. You can see there's a little donation starter form right there on the left side of the screen, and tons of information about our programs, how it works, all the ins and outs of it. So that brings us to the end of the presentation here. There's some information on this slide about how to find more information out about us. We're on all of the major social media channels, Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. So if you're active on there, please look up Good News Garage and give us a like, and stay in touch with us. There's also on our homepage on our website, there's a little email sign up form. So you can receive newsletters for us and stay in touch about what's going on. One thing I will throw out there is we are coming up on our 25th anniversary in September. So we're in the works of planning a little celebration at our Burlington office here, which is probably a bit maybe too far of a drive for you guys to all come up to, but you're welcome to come if you want. And we'll be putting out more details about that on social media and an email. And we're just looking forward really mostly to getting the community back together and seeing all the familiar faces again after being stuck inside our homes for the past year plus. So we're looking forward to that. So at this time, open it up to all of you to see if you have any questions.
Tom, I'll just say, not really a question, but I work for Bennington County Head Start, Early Head Start, and I did not realize that Ready to Go was a program of Good News Garage. I knew about Good News Garage. I know Hal, who's an amazing person, but Ready to Go, I'm intimately familiar with, because several of our families, of our mostly single working moms, have accessed the Ready to Go program for rides. And the great thing about that program is that they will also transport kids to childcare. So we see volunteer Ready to Go drivers come to school. Kiddos are with mom in the car. She drops them off, and then Ready to Go takes her to work. Or back home. And that's actually, we have a couple of different transportation systems that we work with. And that's really the most ideal, because when you're working with little kids, it's hard to put them on a van with an unknown driver and ship them off to childcare. But Ready to Go, it's a requirement that the parents come with them. And it's just so helpful in that ultimate goal of, achieving employment. So thank you. And I can just attest to the rest of the group that we have a lot of folks in Bennington who benefit from that program.
I believe we have a driver, at least one driver stationed in Bennington. And, if anyone's interested in volunteering or employment as well, we have a pretty ongoing need for Ready to Go drivers all over the state, including Bennington and Brattleboro and all the way up in the Northeast Kingdom. So, the best way to kind of stay in tune with that would be to, I guess, follow our social media or sign up for our emails if you're interested in any of those opportunities, or just reach out. Drivers, a lot of the drivers are kind of later in life aged, and it's a nice little way to get out of the house. Usually they will drive, they have a shift in the morning, right, bringing kids to school or people to work, 8 a.m. kind of time frame, and then they have a nice break during the middle of the day, and then they'll go back out on the road and bring people home later in the day. So it's a good way, kind of a low stress kind of job to give back to the community and be out and about. So people seem to enjoy it.
Quick question. Is there any sort of needs test for utilizing the Ready to Go van? Or is it open to absolutely everyone who just says, hey, I need a ride?
Yeah, good question. It's actually open to mostly reach up clients. So kind of the same group of clients that qualify for the vehicles,
Okay.
with a couple of exceptions. We have a couple smaller partnerships that we operate on as well. We've been working with a couple school districts lately. A lot of school districts are consolidating in Vermont, which leaves sort of kids with these really long commutes, especially if they're taking a school bus because it's going all over the place now. And you might be on the bus for 2 hours each way. So some school districts are utilizing us to pick up kids that might be out on the further reaches or maybe have special needs. They don't really fit in with the school bus program. And we've also had some partnerships with really large employers, especially like manufacturers that work second and third shifts, and helping people get there when other transportation resources aren't available, or if people are having car trouble, just giving them kind of a backup option so that they can keep on working and they don't, get taken out by having car issues for a week or two. Yeah, and a lot of the people that ride the Ready to Go program, sometimes they're early on in kind of their journey through the, state assistance, and the reach up program, and sort of that can be sort of a first step with us. And they'll maybe ride ready to go, and that'll help them kind of get on the right track going to school or going to work and kind of moving forward. And then oftentimes those people will be the same ones that end up qualifying for a car later on, and that's kind of hopefully towards the end of their process, and then they're fully independent as far as transportation goes.
Okay.
What are the different funding sources that you have and work with?
Thanks, Michael. Good question. So our funding is primarily state funding through the state of Vermont. Through the Department of Children and Families, our funding is provided by that. There's occasionally one-off grants and things that we may apply for different programs, but it's generally the state kind of reimbursement for a service type of model.
So Kristen has a question all the way from Spain.
Yep. You've been around for 25 years, and if I understood correctly, this vehicle is free and it's repaired as needed for 2 years. What happens over the long haul? Do these folks end up trading in a car and getting their own? What happens after the 2 years? Do you have information on that?
That's a great question. So actually, we're in the process of working with UVM's Rural Studies Department right now to help us perform a long-term study on the beneficiaries of the cars to see exactly the impact that it's made in the long run. Like I mentioned, we do a survey, but it can be kind of hard to get people to respond to that over time and kind of track people down. But by working with UVM, we'll be able to pull some state data to see, what kind of benefits these people continue to receive long term. Our hope really by providing the car, because sometimes these cars do have, 120,000 miles on them. It's not meant to be a car that is going to last as long as, a newer car that they may have bought, but as sort of a bridge to help them get on their feet and get a good job and reestablish credit and, catch up on bills and just get themselves in a better position over the next year or two while having that car, so that, eventually they will be able to move on to, purchasing their own car and maybe something a bit newer. So that's the goal. Sometimes people do end up having the cars for quite a long time, and we're surprised at how much life they get out of them, which is great. But everyone's car is different, and some are older than others, and it's a bit of the luck of the draw. But generally, that's why we provide that 2-year warranty, so that at least we hope that gives them enough time to be in a better position down the road, and that car hopefully helps bridge that gap.
All right, well, thanks. This is brilliant. Oh, Marsh, I'm sorry.
Megan, I was interested to hear you've been hanging out with these people for several months. What's struck you that you find memorable that you might share with us?
Oh, that I find memorable. I think I'm just constantly in awe at like the work that Good News Garage does as a whole. Especially, I've been working a little more on some ready to go administrative stuff, and just to understand more about who is getting these rides. You know, it's like Beth said, families. They're bringing kids to daycare, and then the parent gets to go to work. Also sometimes like foster kids, if they're placed into a foster home that's in a different district, a ready to go ride will kind of keep them in that original school district. So when things are changing for them, they still have that consistency of the same school. Just little things that like that really impact people's day-to-day lives. It's been very inspiring for me.
Great, thank you.
It does make me think, Megan, as you said that my awareness of ready to go is really around that to work goal. And when, you know, Dana, you asked about kind of the vetting process, and every family that I'm aware of has a reach up worker assigned to them. And but ready to go is not accessed in our community as perhaps much as I hear in other communities. And I wonder if that's because we are in need of volunteers. And if we had more volunteer drivers in Bennington, if we could be using the program for some of these purposes that I don't know are used as much in Bennington County. So I would just highlight that need for volunteer drivers, right, for us.
Yep, drivers and vans. I'll just throw a plug in for that. We always have an ongoing need for vans. Sometimes we will purchase vans. If we're in a pinch, we will, lease vans. But there's always a need for vans because we're driving, most of the vans are donated, so they're later in life to begin with, and then we're driving them every day, all day. So they get used pretty quickly. So it's an ongoing need.
Jerry?
Gary,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was just wondering, do you have any liability issues where, say, you awarded a car to somebody and they went out and, drove drunk or ran off the road or caused an accident? Do you have any liability issues with that?
No, nothing unusual. Everyone that receives a car carries their own insurance and their license, and they're responsible for their actions. Technically they're buying the car from us. I mean, it doesn't cost them anything. They pay, I think they pay for their insurance and tax, I believe, on the car. But it's their car after they drive away from Good News Garage to do whatever they want with it. And it's completely their responsibility. We're lucky to have a partnership with Reach Up so that they can kind of vet these clients and, have a relationship with them and attest to their character and their need for the vehicles. So that by the time they're referred to us, we have a pretty good faith that the person is, trustworthy and is going to treat the vehicle well. If we were in charge of that whole process, then there would probably be more responsibility on our part to making sure that these cars are taken care of and used appropriately.
Good, thanks.
All right.
You're welcome.
Good. Does anyone else have any questions for Tom and Megan? All right. Well, great. Thank you guys both.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us, and enjoy the Memorial Day weekend, everyone.